recording, y'all, so just let you know. Okay. We give a quick introduction here. Hello, everyone. This is the 5th Epical Revelation Fellowship, and today is July 21st, 2013. And today we're going to start the beginning of the Urantia book on the Foreword. And we'll be going straight all the way through to the very end. We're also going to, at the same time, at 1 o'clock today, we will be starting the Bestowals of Christ Michael, the Life of Christ, and we'll take that all the way to the end. So by the time we get to the Bestowals of Christ Michael, we will have gone all the way through the book, and that's the plan. Okay. And in doing that, for those who have never listened to our tapes before or anything like that, for the last 11 weeks we have been going over the Don S.C.'s Origins of Universal Reality chart, and that was in preparation for this foreword, really. So if some of this stuff in the foreword seems a little confusing, you might want to go back and review those 12 videos on the Atlanta Urantia Study Group site. Now these videos will be on a new site, which I'm hooking up right now, and I'll be sending everybody out a notice where that's at. So the new videos will be on the new site, and it will be from the beginning all the way to the end. There won't be anything else on there. So we'll have the Life of Christ and the Foreword all the way through. So hope you can join us frequently for this. If you miss it, you can go back and watch the videos. Also, the Life of Christ videos, I believe, are the ones I'm going to put on a Vimeo website to make the downloading a little bit quicker for those who are having trouble downloading. So we'll see how that works too. That's kind of a big joint thing. So thank you for joining us, everyone. Let's have a prayer and get started for today. Dear, would you like to pray first as I get started?
Dear Heavenly Father, Eternal Son, Infinite Spirit, we are gathered here today this morning to study your word. We thank you for this opportunity to learn at your word, become one with your words. It is in the name of always Jesus that we pray and we give thanks, and we thank you for being with all of our families and being with each other, keeping us focused on what our purpose is in living life here in Urantia. We thank you for this food that we're going to be eating shortly. We thank you for this fellowship, and we will continue to bless each and every one of us and bless our work. It is in your name, always Jesus, Christ, my Lord, Amen.
Amen. Okay, for everyone's information, this copy of the Urantia book comes from the foundation. I've just put a blue background behind it so that the video will pick it up a little bit better. And it's straight out of the book. We also have on the same screen we have the foreword from the fellowship. And the reason I did this, and this is in white, and it's going to kind of wash out on the video. But the reason I did this, if we want to look something up, we can. We can hit the link and go look it up and make it quicker for us to do this. So the blue's going to make it a little bit easier to read. Now, at the same time, on this side, we will be going through the slides. And this is the same thing, the book. If I know how to turn it on, it might work better. Okay, wrong one. Sorry. Okay, let's try this one. I had trouble with this morning, so I'm hoping this is going to work right. There we go. And on this side, we're going to look at it one paragraph at a time. Okay? And that's the way we're going to read it. This is the same as this. This is just broken down into paragraphs. And we're going to see some slides that I've incorporated in with this. So that's the way this reads. Let's start out with the foreword, the very first paragraph. And I will just start here and go around the room. Would you like to take the first paragraph, Linda?
In the minds of the mortals of Urantia, that being the name of your world, there exists great confusion respecting the meaning of such terms as God, divinity, and deity. Human beings are still more confused and uncertain about the relationships of the divine personalities designated by these numerous appellations. Because of this conceptual poverty associated with so much ideational confusion, I have been directed to formulate this introductory statement in explanation of the meanings which should be attached to certain word symbols as they may be hereinafter used in those papers which the Orgonton Corps of Truth Revealers have been authorized to translate into the English language of Urantia.
Okay, let's talk about this a little bit. They're talking about here that in our minds we have a lot of confusion when it comes to our concepts of divinity, right, and God, deity. And because of that confusion, that's why they put this book together, right?
Thank God.
Thank God. You know. So this book is really what? To straighten us out, you know, to give us the right concept about God. It's just that simple. That's what the book's about. That's why they call it the fifth epical revelation, right? It's the fifth time that they've tried to reveal God to us. Okay, y'all remember the first four? Caligastia, right? The Caligastia 100 was the first. Who was the second?
Adam and Eve.
Adam and Eve was the second. That's right. Who's the third?
Melchizedek.
Melchizedek. That's right. Now, who is the most important we know? What's the fourth revelation?
Christ, Michael's skull.
Michael, right? Jesus Christ, right? Okay, and this is the fifth time, you know, Christ probably went back and said, well, they still didn't get it, did they? So, you know, let's put together a commission to straighten it all out, right? And that's basically what this is, they're doing here. They use some very interesting terms in this too, because of the conceptual poverty associated. You know, so we're poor when it comes to our concepts of deity and religion, aren't we?
Yes.
So they're trying to help us along. Okay, and then they go on that they have, of course, that they're going to have some problems explaining this to us because of our language, right, and our lack of understandings. Okay, and then they give the name of the truth revealers a name here, the Orgonton Corps of Truth Revealers, right? So this was a concerted effort by multiple beings. And if you look at the beginning of the book, it's got lots of authors there, doesn't it? Depending on what subjects it is. So, and we're going to find that out a little bit later today when we take On the Life of Christ. There's the paper this afternoon is written by someone very unusual too, and we'll talk about that one this afternoon. Okay, and to start it out. So let's go on to the next one here. Okay. Roy, would you take the next one for us here?
Yes, sir. It is exceedingly difficult to present enlarged concepts and advanced truth in our endeavor to expand cosmic consciousness and enhance spiritual perception when we are restricted to the use of a circumscribed language of the realm. But our mandate admonishes us to make every effort to convey our meaning by using the word symbol of the English tongue. We have been instructed to introduce new terms only when the concept to be portrayed finds no terminology in English which can be employed to convey such a new concept, particularly partially or even with more or less distortion of meaning.
So they have a handicap to start out with. The English language doesn't have enough terms to explain what they want to explain to us. So they're going to introduce new terms to us. So we're going to come across things as we read through this book that we've never heard of before.
They should have picked French.
Yeah, I should put it in French, right? Maybe it had a better chance of it, right?
Well,
And who
but since they say a circumscribed language, you know, you almost get the idea that they would have trouble in
any language.
that's right, in
Those
any
trouble
language,
language.
because they're all circumscribed languages.
That's
So what
right.
they're saying is, you know,
We don't have a language.
we don't
that-
have the conceptual anything to
Yeah.
relay these concepts,
And,
really.
and I like the way they use word symbols
Yeah,
of the English.
right.
So this is the only symbols they have that can represent it
Right.
to us, right? So some of this we have to conjecture, right, from what they tell us, and kind of come up with terms and concepts from what they tell us and build our own pictures of these, right? And that's what I've done with these slides. We've got some pictures that a gentleman in the Encyclopedia Urantia has put together, and we want to thank him for letting us use these for this slide presentation. And that's going to give us a better idea of what we're talking about. Now, as we go through this, I've used some of the Don Estes pictures, and I've used some of his pictures too, with permission for both of them. So we're going to go through this and help make it clearer to us. So let's go on to the next slide. And Jill, you want to take that one?
In the hope of facilitating comprehension and of preventing confusion on the part of every mortal who may peruse these papers, we deem it wise to present in this initial statement an outline of the meanings to be attached to numerous English words which are to be employed in designation of deity and certain associated concepts of the things, meanings, and values of universal reality.
Okay, so Jill, what does that mean? That means this really is a foreword. In other words, these are terms. The foreword was meant as a term explanation, right? They're going to give us some new terms and some new concepts, and this prepares us for what's coming in the book. The problem is we're kind of pea-brained. You know, we're a little pea-brains. It's hard for us to understand even the explanations. So hopefully the preparedness we made in the last 11 weeks will prepare us better to understand this forward as we go through it. So these new terms, as they use them, we'll have a little bit better understanding as we go through it. Okay. So, for folks at home, if this totally loses you, you might want to review some of those other videos too. So, okay, let's go on to the next one. Okay. Don, you want to take the next one?
But in order to formulate this foreword of definitions and limitations of terminology, it is necessary to anticipate the usage of these terms in the subsequent presentations. This foreword is not, therefore, a finished statement within itself. It is only a definitive guide designed to assist those who shall read the accompanying papers dealing with deity and the universe of universes, which have been formulated by an Avorton commission sent to Urantia for this purpose.
Okay, so they're telling us this is not comprehensive, is it? You know, this is just a little bit of it to kind of whet our appetite for what's to come, okay? And give us a little bit of understanding for the things to come, and that's all it's supposed to do.
You know, and they've told us twice already so far that this is really coming from the seventh super universe of Orgonton.
Right.
So it's, you know, even beyond Jesus, Christ,
Yeah.
Michael. So I don't know. To me, that's very interesting and instructive.
That's right. It is. Yeah. Okay. Now we're going to get into some of the meat of it. Okay. That was kind of our little explanation. We're going to get into some of that, the meat of it, and this will make a little bit more sense. Okay. So you want to take that?
Your world Urantia is one of many similar inhabited planets which comprise the local universe of Nebadon. This universe, together with similar creations, makes up the super universe of Orgonton, from whose capital, Uversa, our commission hails. Orgonton is one of the 7 evolutionary super universes of time and space, which circle the never-beginning, never-ending creation of divine perfection, the central universe of Avona. At the heart of this eternal and central universe is the stationary isle of paradise, the geographic center of infinity, and the dwelling place of the eternal God.
Okay. So let's go through this first paragraph here. They're talking about first
Quite a
our.
bit.
Huh? It's a lot here, isn't it? First, it talks about. I'm going to change this slide here. Kind of give you something to look at. First, it talks about Urantia. That's the name of our planet. Now, why did they use Urantia? That's what we are called throughout the rest of the universe. It's not some strange term or anything. It's just the name they've given us, our planet. So you can think of Urantia as being just Earth.
Well,
right?
that brings a question then.
Yeah.
In terms of languages throughout the universe, right? If I recall correctly, there are many languages.
There are many languages. There's a local universe language, then there's a system capital language, and then there's the language of Havona, too.
So how can one word in our world, in English, can be in multiple languages, represent, be the same word, if you will?
It may not be. It may be called something totally different. It may be just called Urantia in our local universe, and then when we get to the next level, you know, even like the minor or major sector, it may be called Planet 101, you know, 611, 121, you know,
World of
something along
Cross,
that line.
unfortunately.
The world of the cross, that's right.
Right,
But Arvanton has its own language.
right, that's
It
what I
has
was
its
saying.
own language.
Has
That's
its
a
own
super
language.
universe.
Yes,
That's right.
So
super
each super
Super
universe has its own language, and,
That's right.
and every major, minor sector, even, I mean, it's just like Earth.
Well,
Every-
actually, the local universe has its own language, and while we're in the mansion worlds, we not only learn the local universe language, but we start in the higher mansion worlds to learn the language of Uversa.
When we leave here.
When we leave here. So they start to prepare us fairly early for the system capital. And that's what this picture is about. See, Orvonton, the 7 super universes, and Uversa is our system capital, right? All right, so this is Uversa here. This is the system capital. This is you majored the 4th, you majored the 5th, right? And we're this little planet way out there, you know, in the 7th super universe. So this is just a representation of our system capital.
So,
Okay.
how many spheres surround Universe?
Oh gosh, it's 100, if I remember correctly. Don't quote me on that. We're gonna come to that.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's awesome.
Yeah, I don't remember off the top of my head.
Like this.
I think it's 100 or 1,000, something like that. That surround Universa.
We're not even on it.
We're not even on that picture, right? Okay, it's so small because we're so small. Okay, let's see what else. Okay, and they go on to say that Uversa is where their commission hails from. So it's the system, it's the super universe headquarters that this originates in. Okay? Not just the local universe. It's a concept of Michael, right? But it was approved by who? The Ancients of Days.
Right.
Okay? So that's why the commission hails from Uversa, not from Salvington. Salvington is our local universe headquarters. That's where Michael comes from, right? Nebadon. Okay? But Uversa is the head of our super universe. And that's from where this commission hails.
And Sabaton is our capital.
That's right.
Nebadon, of
Yeah,
Nebadon.
Nebadon.
And Christ Michael is
Located on Salvington.
on Sabaton.
Right. And you can think of the local universe mother spirit as being headquartered on Salvington also, right? That's where she originates from. Okay, so let's go on down through this paragraph. Okay, the Orvonton is one of the 7 evolutionary super universes of space. We'll see that in just a second. And it goes around the central universe of Havona. Let me go ahead 2 slides here, and you can see a picture of this. Okay, so this is, where are we at here? Let me use the green one, could you see that a little bit better?
Yeah.
This is 7th super universe, and it surrounds the super universe of Havona. That's what this is. And it's hard to see, but you see these little 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that's the 7 rings of Havona. This is paradise, and that's the spheres around paradise, the spheres of the Father, the Son, and the Spirit. Okay? And surrounding Havona is the 2 levels of the dark space bodies, the small one and the large one. The large one is 100 times bigger than the small series of bodies. Okay? So let me go back here. Oops, wrong one. 2 more, and go back to where we were. Okay. So that's where we're at. At the central heart of the eternal and central universe is the stationary Isle of Paradise, the geographic center of infinity, and the dwelling place of the eternal God. Now, so we know that paradise is where God dwells, the physical presence of God, right? Physical, spiritual presence, if you will, of God. Where else does he dwell, though? In us, in the thought adjusters, right? So don't get the idea that God is just on paradise and nowhere else.
It's everywhere.
He's everywhere. He's everywhere. He's
It
everywhere.
also says here that the universe is never beginning and never ending.
Never beginning, never ending. That's right.
Havona,
Havona.
from Havona.
Many similar inhabited planets in our local universe.
That's right. Many similar. We're 600 and what?
121.
606.
Of inhabited planets
Yeah.
in our local universe.
In our local universe. That's right.
That's a whole lot.
That's right. Okay.
We're literally just a speck.
We're a speck.
Yeah.
We're a speck.
We're very small.
We're a speck on a speck.
I know.
I was and not to change the subject, but I was reading about our music and everything like that, and they said that we have no concept of music, that what we call music and everything like that, that once we do hear music, you know, and I was like,
Yeah.
wow, you know, because I you do hear songs that inspire you.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, and if we don't have a concept of what music is,
Right.
you know,
Mhm.
you
What
know
do they
that.
say? It's primitive and animalistic. or
Exactly,
something?
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah. Well,
exactly,
Great.
exactly.
It doesn't take a brain surgeon to figure that one out.
Right,
does it?
right, right.
Yeah.
But it's
A lot
some
of
beautiful.
Yeah.
We made beautiful music.
Mhm.
There's beautiful music in our.
That's
To
right.
me, I mean, because I.
In our estimation,
Yeah,
yeah.
That's what I was thinking anyway. I was like, wow, you know, I really this is some music that just really.
Can't
I
wait
thought
for the real thing, right?
Touch my yeah.
That's right. That's right. Okay, let's go on to the next one. You want to take this? Oh, you just read it?
I just read it. yeah.
Oh, okay. Linda, you want to take the next one?
Your world or the
The
one
seven.
after that?
The seven.
The seven evolving super-universes in association with the central and divine universe we commonly refer to as the grand universe. These are the now organized and inhabited creations. They are all part of the master universe, which also embraces the uninhabited but mobilizing universes of outer space.
Okay, so first we have the grand universe, right? And that's what this is right here. This is a picture of the grand universe. And the grand universe includes the seven super universes, right? Havona, and the Isle of Paradise, right? This is what we know as today as actual developing universes. There's people on them, right? There's beings on all of them. Now, outside this is what we call the outer space levels, right? And that's what this represents. If you look at this one, here's those same seven super universes. See this? All right? And this is what they're talking about, the outer space levels. These are the levels that are developing right now. Okay? And that's this whole thing, all together, everything that's known in creation is called what? The master universe, right? So if you're just talking about the inhabited ones, that would be the grand universe, right? But the ones that are developing, that would be the master universe. Simple enough? Okay? And that's where we're at. And those are the ones that are to be inhabited soon. Now, you remember when we talked not long ago in the meetings, from here outward, this is what domain of what? This is the unqualified, right? Absolutely. If you talk about anything from here inward, we're talking about the qualified absolute, right? And the deity absolute, right? Okay. And we're going to go over that a little bit more here in a minute. Let's see if I can keep these straight. Okay. This slide represents the clockwise representation of the paradise and the seven Havana circuits. And what they're talking about, showing here, is this is paradise. This is the worlds of the Father, the Son, and the Spirit. And we'll read about these, okay? And then right outside that, this is where Havana starts, this first line of planets. And then we have 7 levels of these, okay? And we're going to traverse from here that way, okay? So we start on the outer ring, and as we go through each one of these rings, we'll be soon assigned a different type of ministering spirit, an angel, to help us learn about each level. And as we go from level to level, we'll get a new ministering spirit. And we're going to learn about each and every one of those types that help us through each one of those levels as we go up until we get to paradise. And then what happens when we get to paradise? We get to stand before God the Father and recognize God the Father. In the process between these worlds, we learn to recognize God the Spirit, God the Son, and then God the Father. Now, what's the first thing we learn to recognize from our classes we had before?
The Spirit, God's Spirit.
No, the Supreme,
Supreme.
the experiential part of God. That's the first thing we recognize before we go on this journey, right? Okay? All right, so let's keep going again. All right, got one more slide here.
Do you want me to use that to move this down?
No, because it's the same one as this one
Oh,
is.
is it?
Yeah, as the other one is. I'll just leave it. Okay. All right. This just shows the directionalization of everything in the universe. See the arrow up there? It says north. Everything in all 7 super universes has direction. You remember in the book of Revelations it talks about the beast, the 4 beasts? That's the 4 beasts of direction, basically. They're like the compass, okay? So even stuff in the book of Revelation is mentioned in this book, right? So what's important here is even in the super universes, all the master universes, there's a directionalization, north, south, east, and west. You know, and it's in everything, all the way down to our cellular level. Okay? So I want to show you all that too. Okay.
What strikes me is that it's a plain representation of something that is three-dimensional.
It is three-dimensional. It's hard to get a good idea of the three-dimensional aspect of it because of that. You know, it's next to impossible to draw this out when you think about it, because we're talking about a universe that looks more like a figure 8, right? The paradise being in the center, and then the rest of the universe around, or a figure 8 that is a donut, right? The center of the donut would be what? Havona and paradise. And the outside of the donut would be all 7 super universes and the outer space levels. So it's a large, massive, beyond human conception amount of space. But the only way we can draw it out is like this. That makes sense. Because if you tried to draw it out, there's no way we could illustrate it really. So what we're doing is we're taking a 3-dimensional concept and trying to put it into a 2-dimensional picture, which is really next to impossible.
Right, but all dimensions are not quite symmetric in the same way.
No.
That's the thing.
No.
It's not
No.
like revolving all around the way
No.
we think of it, like for example the way the representation of an atom with the electrons, the representation
They're going-
is already all over the place.
Yeah.
But there is really like a plain kind of
There is,
action.
yeah, there is, what would you call it? There is motive to the whole. It looked like massive amounts of motion, but if you could look from it from far away, you would notice the plan there, right? You know, you would still see the planets. They say even the 7 super universes, when you're looking at them in almost any direction, it's hard to determine where one stops and the other doesn't.
Right.
But they say there is large amounts of void in between each and every super universe, but they all look like they superimpose each other if you look at it from almost any direction. But there is voided space in between them. They do tell us that. So not only the super universes, but the outer space levels, and between the 7 super universe and Havona even. And that's part of what these dark bodies do too. You know, we have an inner ring of dark bodies and an outer ring of dark bodies. The inner ring is smaller than the outer ring. Why would that be? Because the inner ring blocks a certain amount of gravity, and the outer ring takes care of all the rest of it that escapes in between.
So basically we're talking about energy and gravity.
That's right, energy and gravity. That's right. And this balance, without these dark bodies, there would be no balance. Everything would collapse into paradise because of the gravity pull. The other thing this does is that the large rings blocks our side of paradise, because paradise is so bright. If it wasn't for these rings of dark bodies, that's all we would see was this massive brightness and this, that would override everything. Yeah, it's hard to conceive of.
Positionally, as compared to where north is that where we are positionally right now, or we don't know?
Yes, yes. This is where we are right now. It's
Positionally.
positionally.
Okay.
We're on a track right now from the southerly end, coming around the bottom of the southerly end, beginning on our way northward.
Okay.
That's why they show it this way. And this is exactly, I mean, this takes billions of years for this to go around, right? But this is pretty much exactly where we are right now. If you look,
And us, Urantia, we're on the outer.
we're way out here,
Right.
very edge
Right.
of way out there.
So we really are nearly the southernmost.
We're almost the southern. Yeah, we're really the southernmost. We split that characteristic with
Yeah.
the six.
We're the rednecks.
Huh?
We're the rednecks.
We're the rednecks. That's
Well,
it.
you know,
It's southern.
it's
Yeah.
very interesting when you think about that in terms of the patterns that are in the book about what they say about what happens in the South.
Uh-huh.
It's
Yeah.
very, very interesting
It is
to think
interesting.
about that.
But yeah, we are most southern. Now normally we're used to seeing north straight up when we look at pictures,
Right.
but he drew this, and I that's the way he drew it, so that's the way we're going to use it. But I could have switched it the other way, but he did such a wonderful job just putting this on paper. It's amazing. But it talks about here the inner clockwise moving of the dark space bodies, and the outer one moves one direction, one moves the other, right? Balances gravity. Okay. The other thing it does is it blocks our sight of Havona. The other thing is talking about us being on the edge of this universe too. That we have an advantage. What is that? We can see the first level of the outer space levels, the very first one. So if we point our telescope in a certain direction, we can see thousands and thousands of developing universes, right? And that's what our scientists are able to see. That's why they think that everything is developing and all that. Well, it is in that first outer space level.
So
Right.
we can't see paradise.
We can't see paradise, but we have.
Too much to see it.
Yeah, but we get to see the what's to come.
So what are your thoughts about, in recent years, there's articles in the news all the time about how our polar magnetic north is off. It's moving, and it's been moving now for years. So what are your thoughts about that?
It's all in the plan. It's all in the plan of the architects of the Master Universe. There is nothing that happens that's a surprise in the universe. People think that it's just happenstance. It's not. Okay, there's a reason that our poles are tilted, in other words, and it has to do with our magnetic poles right now. And probably the master physical controllers are tweaking that to keep our magnetic poles at a certain point so that we stay within this normal
Because
sphere.
north supposedly is not north anymore.
It's not.
I think it's
It's-
to the right of where
Yeah,
it
and it's
used to
been that
be.
way for thousands and thousands and thousands of years.
No, but I mean it's moving more.
Yes, it is moving, but that's what I'm saying. That's probably the tweaking of the master physical controllers, right? Because they're part of the ones that control all the physical part of this,
Uh-huh.
right?
Uh-huh.
So there's a reason that's shifting. Just like everybody's worried to death about the polar ice melting. Okay, and that if the polar ice melting, the theory is all the poles melt, that the ocean will overcome the.
Right. We'll have another flood.
We'll have another flood. Okay, I say poppycock.
Right.
Okay, there'll be some flooding happen. Probably Florida will almost disappear because it'll be pretty much out of water. They tell us in the Urantia book it's possible. I think at one point it talks about it's possible. It talks about how many times Florida up to Georgia really has been underwater. Okay, and that could happen again if the polar ice melts again. Probably most of Florida, it'll be underwater.
Actually, that's an error.
Is it?
It is an error because if you think about it, ice takes more space than
Than
water.
water does.
So
That's right.
as it melts, it
Yeah.
actually should go lower,
Yeah.
not higher.
Plus the fact you got absorption in the ground itself, right? They forget Florida's built on a watershed anyway. If you go any place in Florida, dig down 6 feet, you're going to find water. Okay, that's just
That's why they have all those sinkholes.
that's how they have all those sinkholes. That's also, I can tell you from cave diving in Florida, there's, you know, it's like a catacomb under Florida. It really is. So I don't think that's such a
For miles.
big threat as people make it out.
However, I seem to recall, and don't quote me on this, but from reading in the ancient book that correlates with another scientific review that I've, or write-up that I've seen, an article that I've seen, that basically says that with the melting of the ice in the poles, that's going to that's already affecting the water current, which in turns affect the weather system, and in turns having those cold water coming more south is going to actually not warm up the climate, but actually make it cooler. And
See,
we
I've
are
read the same thing. It's
we are
actually
sliding
getting cooler.
towards glaciation area.
Yeah.
Some say that, well, it would have happened anyway, and some say, well, it's precipitated by the melting of the glacier. That's the result of, partly the result of our pollution.
Well, but remember, we've already had multiple ice ages, right, in this planet over millions of years. Okay, so this is just the natural. If you think about it, it's the
Normal cycle.
normal cycle of the planet.
Right.
Okay, any planet.
Except for now, the population of humans, and our added effect to it. Now that's
That could create a problem. Of course, pollution's never good, never good. But to say that it's human beings that's going to cause all this change,
Right.
I don't think so. You know, there's forces out there
From
controlling
this
us, but we
perspective, I
have.
mean, that's an absolutely ridiculous
It is.
idea.
It is. We
that
see
we
the
could
small
even have
picture.
an impact on this.
Yeah. This is the big picture.
Really?
We're not. This is not the small picture.
Right.
So.
Track here.
Well, I think if I can summarize, I think
Getting off track.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, we are.
considering the big debates that there is on this topic, I think it would be fair to conclude that we cannot be certain about how much is the regular cycle and how much is the impact of what we are doing. Right? There is a lot of debates around that.
Yeah,
And
a lot of
we'll
speculation.
find out as we proceed forward. Maybe we have this conversation when,
During lunch.
Yeah, we'll do that another time.
Yeah.
Okay, deity and divinity. I don't remember who read
Right
that.
here.
Okay.
Deity and divinity. The universe of universe present phenomena of deity activity on diverse level of cosmic reality, mind, meaning, and spirit value, but all of these ministrations, personal or otherwise, are divinely coordinated.
Okay, so that says it all right there, doesn't it? They come back to this mind, meaning, and spirit values, and everything is what? Divinely coordinated,
Divinely
right?
coordinated.
So they have it under control.
Exactly.
Yeah, we keep trying to take it back, but they have it under control. Okay, so let's keep going. Jill, you want to take the next one?
Deity is personalizable as God, is prepersonal and superpersonal in ways not altogether comprehensible by man. Deity is characterized by the quality of unity, actual or potential, on all supermaterial levels of reality, and this unifying quality is best comprehended by creatures as divinity.
Okay. Let's look at this about a little bit. How is deity not personalizable as God? There's many different types of parts of God, aren't there? There's what they call a pre-personal, a personal, a pre-personal, and a super-personal. Can you all think of examples of any of those? How about a pre-personal? How about the thought adjuster? Right? What is a thought adjuster? It's that fragment of God that's given to each one of us. It's pre-personal. How does it gain its personality? Through us. Right? That's an example of pre-personal. Right? Notice it says deity here. Is that still part of deity? Yes. It's our portion of deity that's given to us. Right?
What about the portion that is our personality? Doesn't it come from deity as well?
It comes from deity also. That's part of God. That's a gift from God. Right? So that's part of the personality, the personalizable part too, is it not?
That's what.
Okay. How about super personal? Can you think of a way that affects us?
The supreme being.
Like the supreme being, or how about when we fuse?
Mm.
Right? It takes our personality, it adds the the fragment of God, and it goes to the next level, does it not? When we fused. Okay, but let's take a look at this just on the level of deity. Okay? Personalizable. Okay? Remember when we talked about God the ultimate, God the absolute, and God, aren't those different types? Which one of them would be non-personal? Well, the unqualified absolute, right? It doesn't have personality. It's a functional part of God. It moves the physical matter out in the primordial space, right? Okay, what would be a personal part of God, personalizable part of God? That would be the deity absolute, right? Or the qualified absolute, right? So there's lots of ways that deity is known. It's just not one part. All these are multiple parts of deity, and they all come back to what? God the Father, the I Am. He's the bestower of all of these things, if you remember that. The simple part is it always comes back to the I Am, right? Okay, let's keep going. Okay, deity functions. Okay. Don, you want to take that one?
Deity functions on personal, pre-personal, and super-personal levels. Total deity is functional on the following 7 levels. 1. Static, self-contained and self-existent deity. 2. Potential, self-willed and self-purposive deity. 3. Associative, self-personalized and divinely fraternal deity. 4. Creative, self-distributive and divinely revealed deity. 5. Evolutional, self-expansive and creature-identified deity. 6. Supreme, self-experiential and creature-creator unifying deity. Deity functioning on the first creature identificational level as time-space overcontrollers of the grand universe, sometimes designated the supremacy of deity. 7. Ultimate, self-projected and time-space transcending deity. Deity omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent. Deity functioning on the second level of unifying divinity expression as effective overcontrollers and abstinent upholders of the master universe. As compared with the ministry of the deities to the grand universe, this abstinent function in the master universe is tantamount to universal overcontrol and super sustenance, sometimes called the ultimacy of deity.
Okay, let's kind of go through these, and y'all give me your thoughts about what you think about these. This is going back to that personal, pre-personal, super-personal levels again, okay? And it's talking about how deity functions on 7 different levels. Okay, so let's take the first one, the static, the self-contained, self-existential deity. Which type of deity do you think that is?
That's the I and the
I Am, God the Father,
The
right?
core.
The core of everything.
The Trinity.
The Trinity, that's right. They're all self-contained, self-existential, self-willed deity, right? Okay.
Already perfect.
Already perfect. Okay, how about potential, self-willed and self-purposely deity? That's any creative being that go from that, right?
Yeah.
So wouldn't you think that's a good explanation of the Creator Sons? Right? Okay, because they become self-willed and self-purposive, right? In the fact that they have created their own universe and they're administrating their own universe,
Right.
right? But they come from what? The core of deity, which would be what? God the Father and God the Son, the part of the Trinity. Okay, there's some right there. Okay. Okay, associative. Okay, what would that kind of explain? Wouldn't you think that's a good explanation of not only the creator sons, but the creative mother spirits? They're self-personalized, right? And divinely fraternal deity. In other words, they're dependent on the Trinity, aren't they? That's one way to look at it. It could also be part of the Trinity itself, could
I
it not?
was just thinking that, yeah.
Right? Okay. How about creative? Number 4. Self-distributed, divinely revealed deity. That's a perfect example of a creator son, isn't it? Creative. What else would that be? That
Thought
would be
adjuster?
the thought adjuster. 7 master spirits, ancients of days, right? Those would all be self-distributive and divinely revealed deity, wouldn't you say? What's that? The 7 types of deity, right? Okay. All right. Evolutional, ever-expanding, creature-identified deity. Now, if that's not the supreme, I don't know what is, right? Evolution, it's expanding, it's evolutionary, right? It's learning as it goes. It's already a deity, so it's expanding itself, isn't it? But it's also identified with creatures through our experience. Our experience expands the supreme, right? So if it expands the supreme, what else does it expand? How about the Almighty Supreme? It's part of the supreme, right? It's all part of the process.
It's also like the unification of personality and thought adjuster.
It is.
Right.
That's a perfect example of that.
Right.
Yep. Okay. The next one, the ultimate. Did I skip over?
No, you
one?
skip the
Supreme.
supreme.
The supreme, self-experiential, creature creator, unifying deity. All right, that's we just talked about that too. The supreme, that's both of those are 5 and 6, right? Ultimate. Okay. This is totally different. Self-projected, time-space transcending deity, deity omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent. What does that explain? The Trinity, is it not? Okay, any way you look at it. That's all I want to say.
But this is still associated with Havana, which
Havana,
is
yes.
sub paradise, right? It's not
Right.
quite.
That's right. That's right. Right. Universal over-control, super-substance, sometimes called the ultimacy of deity. And that has to do with the 7 absolutes, doesn't it? Remember the 7 absolutes? God the Father, God the Son, God the Spirit, paradise, right? We're going to go through all of those. I don't want to wear it to death, but we'll come back to that. Okay. Let's go on to the next level. The finite level. Oops. Let's get the wrong one again. The finite level.
The finite level of reality is characterized by creature life and time-space limitations. Finite realities may not have endings, but they always have beginnings. They are created. The deity level of supremacy may be conceived as a function in relation to finite existences.
Now, does that not explain who we are? Right? We start out as finite beings. We have a beginning, but we do not have an end. Why do we not have an end?
Part of the ascension plan.
Huh? We're part of the ascension plan. It's that thought adjuster again, isn't it? That thought adjuster gives us that part of God that makes us never ending. And if we understand that, we understand why we never die. This concept of death is ridiculous if you think about it. When people say they die, they don't die, they pass. They pass on to the next level. I think
Except
that
if you choose not to.
if you choose not to survive,
Right.
that's death,
Right.
Okay. But as long as you're a believer, do you die? No, you don't. Your body stops. You get a new body, right? You just pass on to the next level. It's like walking through that door. That's what it's about. And you think about it that way, does that get rid of the fear of death? Of course it does. You start getting that concept in your head, and that fear of death goes farther and farther. It stops being a concept.
Energy and consciousness cannot be wasted or destroyed.
That's right.
And it also, it makes you start to look at where you are right now and know that you can't get back here.
No.
and that you need to
One
take-
chance at it, don't
Yeah,
you?
you get one chance at it, and you need to live it because you don't get back.
That's right.
You don't come back
You
here.
don't come back
Yeah,
here.
you don't
So
come back.
get it all while you're here.
Right. You have to.
Yeah.
You have to get it
Yeah.
and till we're settled in light and life.
That's right. That's right. And we're not talking about just living life at the fullest. We're talking about spiritual life
Exactly.
here, right? You want to get your spiritual life to the fullest here. You know, when Jesus says he wants us to have life and have it more abundantly, he's talking about our spiritual life.
Yeah, he's not talking about stuff.
He's not talking about things, right? We don't need to have things to have that joy and spiritual
Exactly.
life, right?
At the same time, we're not supposed to sit in a cave and just meditate our lives
Right.
away.
We're not, no.
Live
It's
it,
about balance.
serving
It's
others
about
and,
balance. It's about
and
balance.
doing things.
That's
Right,
right.
right,
That's
doing
right.
something,
That's
having to do
right.
something.
All right, let's keep moving on. We actually gets through part of this today. Okay, the Absite level.
My turn?
Yeah.
The Absite level of reality is characterized by things and beings without beginnings or endings, and by the transcendence of time and space. Absiters are not created, they are eventuated, they simply are. The deity level of ultimacy connotes a function in relation to Absite realities. No matter in what part of the master universe, whenever time and space are transcended, such an Absite phenomenon is an act of the ultimacy of deity.
Okay, let's skip one slide here, and we're going to talk about this Absite level of deity. What we're talking about here is this level right here. You see this? All right, we just talked about this, didn't we? Finite, time, space limited, universe level. So all the finite beings are on the universe level. That's the 7 super universes, right? The Absite
Eventuated.
are eventuated beings. This is time, space transcended, and this is the Havona level, right? Okay, now if we talk about paradise, we're talking about absolute, okay? Timeless and spaceless. Everybody see that? So let's go back to this paragraph. Absite level reality is characterized by things without beginnings or endings. Here. You see this? This is Havona, right? So these beings in Havona have no beginning also. Do you see that? They transcend time and space. They're eventuated. Now what does eventuated means? It means as they are needed, they come into existence, right? How's that different than created? A created being is not like a finite being, right? We have a beginning. We have a physical form. We have a beginning. An eventuated being may not have a physical body as we know it. It would be more of a spiritual being, wouldn't it? It'd be more of a transcendent type being. So the Absite beings may have a body that's totally unrelated to anything that we know. Okay? So that when we get to Havona, what's one of the things we have to learn how to recognize? Absite beings. Because they're not something that's going to come natural to us. What do you think the ministering spirits help us do? They help us to understand and recognize Absite reality. Right? Now, let's take that one step further. When we get to paradise up here, you think they have to do the same thing? Of course they do. They're going up to an absolute level. These are existential beings. These beings didn't have a beginning, period. Right? They aren't eventuated, are they? They just are. They always have been. You see the difference between absolute and Absite? Absites are eventuated. Absolutes are not. You catch that?
If I may say the way I think of it, like the Havona level, there would be, again, it's just an interpretation. They will be created, but with no time stamps. No time stamp. So we cannot say, well, it was in this time. It just appear, so there is some form of creation, but we cannot say where in time. There is just not, because time is transcended. Whereas in paradise, then they wouldn't appear at all. They always have been.
They've always have been. That's right. That's a good interpretation of that too. Okay. It's been about an hour. Let me check my recording. Well, we're waiting for a minute. Let me see if I need to restart here. We got about 10 more minutes. Yeah, close enough.
Let's get above that. Let me get that right quick so y'all
My
see y'all running.
gosh. It's humongous.
Yeah.
That's the reason why I asked.
Heard any-
Okay.
anything.
Will you guys run off?
Press.
Oh, yeah. Doug came in with something?
Huh?
Okay, we're back.
That's,
Grasshopper.
yeah, they good to eat.
They won't hurt you.
Never ate grasshopper?
Or much bigger.
I hate bugs.
Okay, I'm gonna go one more slide. We're gonna beat this to death a little bit. Okay. You'll notice this is in yellow. Okay. And you'll notice as I go through slides, we're gonna run into things that's in yellow instead of white. And when it's in yellow, it's not in line with this. Okay. It's something I pulled from other parts of the book that enhances of what we're talking about. Okay. So we're getting away from the slide a little bit, and we're gonna talk about this absite just a second. Absite is a term to indicate the middle state, not qualitatively, but in terms of time-space dimensions, between the absolute paradise level and the finite evolutionary level. Thus, absite means super-finite. Does that make sense? All right. Or time-space transcendent. Anytime space creatures or creations are finite, regarding the relative position of the absite reality, it is written, and this is from paper 113, section 6.2. Attitude toward the absite. The Paradise Trinity has regard for those levels of existence which are not more than finite, but less than absolute, and this relationship is sometimes denominated the Trinity of ultimacy. You see that? Neither the ultimate nor the supreme are wholly representative of the Paradise Trinity, but in a qualified sense, and to the respective levels, each seems to represent the Trinity during the pre-personal eras of experiential power development. So absite beings are treated differently, aren't they? You follow that? Okay. To indicate the middle state, not qualitative or quantitatively, but the state neither finite nor absolute. It's just the in-between state. It appears the word absite was created. Havona is not the only place of time-space transcendental region. The four outer space levels are also time-space transcendent. Thus, absite beings, more accurately transcendental beings, are associated with their eventuation and management. Do you see how the absite beings will become a big part of the four outer space levels now? Not only finite, but absite also. So we all takes place. Now, do you think the absolute beings will have something to do with this too? Of course they will. Okay? Because it's the way that things work, right? Does that help muddy the field a little bit? Okay. All right. Let's go on to this next slide. And let me look at my notes on this one. Okay. This just shows right here. Green shows up better. Havona absite time-space. Havoners are absite time-space transcendentals. They occupy mostly this space right here, right? But they also will be in the outer space levels. Okay? Timeless and spaceless. It says wheels of energy forces in the first outer space level. That's what this is a picture of. But these Havoners or absiters will be in this level out here too. Okay?
So it sounds like the difference between absite and transcendental is absite are those in Havona, and transcendental are going to be those in the for outer space. Will it be a fair definition?
Would it be
It's both, actually.
yeah.
It's actually both. Because they transcend actually there's absite beings in paradise too. Which it talks about a little
yeah,
bit.
because they travel that probably some
Yeah.
maybe here in this room.
Yeah.
But in terms of what's the difference between absite and transcendental?
Transcendentals, yeah. I am not sure. I'm not 100% sure about that, to be honest, because they don't. You know, we know they transcend time and space, but there may be a element of the transcendentals that we don't understand. that is beyond our comprehension. You know, and for instance, the Absinites themselves, they have to teach us to recognize Absite beings, and that may be because there's a some kind of physical attribute or some kind of spiritual attribute that we have no concept or we have nothing that they can tell us about that makes us relate to that. So this is about all they can tell us about, and that may be part of that transcendental thing you're talking about. You know, maybe that's why they're used in the outer space levels too. I'm not sure. Maybe there's a type of being that's going to be a combination of the transcendental and the finite out there, you know, which is the next step up from us, right? So, which is possible. You know, you notice how the universe explains the 7 super universes as we go out in the outer space level, it multiplies greatly, right? So there may be plans for those outer space levels with each level that the types of beings that start out there are expanding also from the beginning point, right? So they may be a finite transcendental out there or a finite absite out there. Combination. So we just don't know. Maybe that's why we're being prepared. We're going to teach them a little bit more about being just basic finite. You know what I mean? So it's an interesting question. Okay, the absolute level. We only have about 3 or 4 minutes. Let's see if we can get through one more.
The absolute level is beginningless, endless, timeless, and spaceless. For example, on Paradise, time and space are non-existent. The time-space status of Paradise is absolute. This level is Trinity attained, existential by the Paradise deity. But this third level of unifying deity expression is not fully unified, experiential. Say that word again.
Experientially.
Experientially. Whenever, wherever, and however the absolute level of deity function, Paradise absolute values and meanings are manifest.
Okay, so these beings have always been, always will be, right? They were created at the time of Paradise, right? Absolute level. That's why they're in Paradise, right? So they were probably all created at the exact same moment Paradise was created, more likely. I mean, that's the only way I can think of it. They're existential. They always have been, right? And we know that at some point in time, Paradise started to exist. So they must have started to exist at the same time. That's all we know. Okay.
No.
But if we go from this description here, it says here, note absolute is derived from ab plus solver, loosen, set free. If something is absolute, it is free from any constraints and independent of other conditions. It is not relative to any antecedents. Well, so what does that mean? That means it doesn't have a beginning. It wasn't created, was it? That's a hard concept for us to get. It's like God the Father, God the Son, God the Spirit.
You can't get something from nothing, so there must have always been something.
Yes, always been. Yeah, it's like a catch-22. It is and it isn't, right? How can something exist and it not exist at the same time? You know, we know that God the Father was first, and we know that he segmented himself to create God the Son and God the Spirit, and at the same time the Son was created, Paradise was created, right? So isn't that a beginning? And yet they tell us it's always been. So how do you have both? You either have something or you don't to us, but maybe that's not reality. Maybe it's
Our limited vision.
It's our limited vision of reality.
It's how they have to explain it to us.
Huh?
It's how they have to explain it
How
to
they
us.
have to explain it to us. That's right. But you can't take it to the bank, can you? Because we
They
have
look
no.
at you funny.
That's right. That's right. Okay. Well, let's get through 2 more slides, which explain it completes this absolute
Are
function.
you gonna try to get through like Roman numeral 2 here?
Let me see how much.
That would be kind of like a natural stopping point.
Okay, let me see if we can here. Okay, this shows the 3 circuits of Paradise here, right? And it says the Paradise mind is absolute Havana, Absite, and Irvantan, and finite. Mind always connotes the presence of activity of living ministry plus varied energy systems, and this is the true in all levels and all kinds of mind. So what are they talking about here? They're talking about these 3 concepts of mind, not physicality, right? We're talking about mind. All right. All right. Let's go on. This is going to become more clearly. All right. Not everything or every being on paradise is absolute. See that? Not everyone. Transcendentals who live in the west of paradise are not absolute. There it is, right there. They are absite beings. They are associated with the architects of the master universe, who are nebulae generators. That's what they do. Okay? As their name suggests, while seemingly affecting time and space universes, transcendentals are not affected by the conditions thereof, and hence can generate nebulae. Alright, so that's what transcendentals do. Even if they go out in the outer space levels, they transcend time and space. However, this relationship is asymmetric. They can and do affect a change in local time and space conditions, but are not affected by them. Okay? This is from page 332. Eventuated transcendental beings. There is to be found on paradise a vast host of transcendental beings whose origin is not ordinarily disclosed to the universes of time and space until they are settled in light and life. That's part of that information that we're not ready for, right? These transcendentals are neither creators nor creatures. They're not like us, okay? They are the eventuated children of divinity, ultimacy, and eternity. These eventuators, neither finite or infinite, they are absite. And absentity is neither infinity nor absoluteness. What would it be if they were absolute? They would be in paradise, right? Okay? All right. Let's see how much more we got to go here. I don't know if we can get through this in a short period of time or not. Yeah. All right. We're on 3:1. All right. Okay. And it's noon now. Y'all want to stop and break? Or you want to? We can stop here and take it up next time.
On page 3.
Okay. So somebody mark this. We're on 3:1. 114. So we'll know where to start out again. I don't have anything to write it down on. Slide 25. You want to write that down? And we will take it up from here next time. Let me say a little prayer and we'll stop this video. And then we're going to take a lunch break for about an hour and visit for a while. And then at 1 o'clock we're going to start back up again. Okay, with the life of Jesus. All right. So let's have a little prayer. Father, we thank you for this time together, and we pray that you'll keep our hearts and our minds open, that we might absorb some of this and teach us the others. We thank you for this opportunity to meet together, and pray that you'll bless this new effort for us to get through this book together and try to absorb as much as humanly possible as we can. We pray that you'll always be with us and speak through me when I talk, and allow others to keep a clear mind, clear heart, and be able to absorb this a little bit each time, a little bit each day, and bless those at home that listen to these tapes, that they might benefit from them also. Watch over our families and our friends as we go on our way, and our health, and provide for our needs. We thank you, and we give you the praise in the name of your Son, Michael, Jesus of Nazareth. Amen. Y'all stop the videos here.